podcasting since 2005. This is the King of Podcasts radio network, kingofpodcasts.com.
The real modus operandi of today's online dater, is it more than just a hookup?
We're all a little depraved and debaucherous. Here is the King of Podcasts.
Welcome. King of Podcasts here with you. Another depraved and debaucherous episode. Starting off October, fall is here. Not if you go outside my house because it's still very hot outside. Still feels like the late summer going on outside. Here, my studio is in South Florida, USA, where I am based. Kingofpodcasts.com is the website where you can find all my content, all my past episodes. So if you are so inclined, please go ahead and follow to do that. And also, if you'd like to go ahead and help out your boy, feel free to go ahead and look at the donate button on the website, kingofpodcasts.com. A couple different ways you can help to support the show. Number one, you can always subscribe to my YouTube channel at King of Podcasts on YouTube. You can subscribe to my channels, whether it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Music, what have you. Or if you'd like to go ahead and offer a little bit of a financial donation, I have Cash App, I have Venmo, PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee. I could use the help. And I mean, I love doing these shows, but, you know, I don't like to be stressed out thinking about that I have to go and pay bills at the end of the month, and I'm still kind of trying to figure out what I need to go ahead and put everything at zero and start back over again with nothing in the bank, but let's just go with it anyway. This King of Podcasts is not rich. Podcasting, much like radio, is a cruel mistress. You're not getting paid a whole lot on it. So if you can help me out, I would greatly appreciate it. Anyway, I'll leave it there. So a couple things I'm going to bring up before we get started on tonight's subject. A new study that says dating apps are used for more than love or hookups. Well, if you have to think about people dating today, don't take your advice from Cardi B. This is from Call Her Daddy, and this was a recent episode. I just want you to try to go and decode this.
When a man fall in love with me, they fall in love for me, for my pussy, for my personality, and because I'm a really pretty girl. If a man is going to cheat on you, they're just going to cheat on you because that's just men. A man would cheat on you with the ugliest, brokest, probably finest, or probably the ugliest bitches. It really depends on the night. It really depends who's available and who's around. Okay? So it's not like it's like, oh, he cheated on her because this bitch is bad. The girls that I've been seeing, I be like, I'm surprised. I'm not in your caliber if you fucking bitches like this. And I always been I never been insecure.
Yeah, right. I didn't understand any of that. And I'm sorry the album is a bit missing, but again, it took her 6-7 years to go and put out the second album. Am I the drama? Well, she just answered her own question. And right there, that answer on Call Her Daddy is a lot. But if you subscribe to the musings of Cardi B for your dating life, then I would suggest you look for another route, okay? Anyway, let's move on to the actual subject at hand. Let's get into a new study that came out, a meta-synthesis study published in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships. It's that people use dating apps solely to find love or hook up. So they went through 21 studies across multiple studies to put a picture together about why people engage with dating platforms, the motivations that are normally not added on normal surveys that I might even get to read about. So the research team, Jenna L. McPherson, Rachel D. Robinette, so two women, they put this together and looking at works published in English and Spanish. An initial set of more than 7,000 candidate articles, and that 21 of these studies specifically examined users' motivations for online dating. So they identified 8 overarching motive categories: romantic relationships, sexual relationships, socializing, entertainment, self-enhancement, convenience, curiosity, and external influences. So they're trying to say, what's the real modus operandi between all the people that are on online dating? Do they really give a shit about trying to meet someone, or is it for their own personal entertainment, their own enjoyment? So again, the 8 categories: romantic relationships, long-term relationships, looking for real love, sexual relationships, that's hookups, situationships, socializing, which just could be, again, meeting friends, which I never understood anybody going on a dating app and saying, oh, I'm just looking for friends. I just want to be friends. No. Entertainment, self-enhancement. So self-enhancement would be, I would say, sugar daddies or anybody looking for something transactional. Convenience, because people don't want to go ahead and go out and meet people in the real world. Curiosity, like what kind of people would attract to me and who I would I be attracted to. And external influences. So people that might encourage, hey, I got online dating and this did for me, it could do for you. So the dominant thread was seeking romantic relationships. Primary focus on long-term commitment, companionship, or marriage. Now, situationships, hookups, F-buddies, was frequently appearing in all these studies, but not the context of casual encounters. Some were focused on exploring intimacy or desire within existing relationships. So they also looked at the dating app usage. Describing users joining or using apps for entertainment, to pass time or release stress. Social, because they feel like, well, if we're not going out and doing anything and they just want to go and just kill time, yeah, let's just try to meet people. Meet two people and talk about things. External influences would be considering peer pressure or a breakup. Get back on the rebound. Somebody says, you should go dating, go on there, go find a man, go find a boy, go find a girlfriend, whatever. They also look at the variations by demographic group. So those that are LGBTQ are more likely than heterosexual participants to cite safety, belonging, and convenience as motivating factors. Dating apps, they say, help to circumvent the issue by allowing users to screen dating partners on the basis of sexual identity and other characteristics. But I can tell you that on some sites, unless they specifically put in there where you can say what your gender is or what your sexual persuasion is or orientation is, I can tell you that there's some people that will not say who they are and what their real intent is. When you have those that you think are women on these dating sites and they happen to end up being men, that does happen. Trust me, there are those that are going to say that they've been able to go and, transition to the point where they're female enough to pass themselves off completely, and they don't think they need to go and divulge that they were men at one time. Or, some way around that. So older adults often lean towards emotional connection and companionship over sex or esteem-driven motives. So into the study itself. So into more of the story about the sexual motivations. Sexual minority participants were more than likely to use dating apps to access specific communities. There was one participant describing how the app Jacked allowed him to interact with other gay or bisexual men in a comfort zone where he didn't have to guess other sexual orientation or fear rejection or violence. And there is the part of that. That's what I'm talking about. Guessing other sexual orientation if people are not going to be upfront about it, which I hope people will be, just so there's no possibility of something happening and going wrong. Now, Robinette told SciPost that, quote, we were interested in whether people from different groups had different reasons for engaging in online dating. Relative to participants who identified as heterosexual, participants who identified as lesbian, gay, bisexual, or queer were especially likely to note that they appreciate the safety, belonging, and convenience that dating apps afford. So some LGBTQ participants explain that more traditional dating methods, like meeting someone at a bar, can be challenging and even dangerous if you don't know their sexual identity. Because LGBTQ people continue to face stigma, aggression, and violence on the basis of sexual identity. And dating apps help to circumvent the issue. I mean, I guess, but, when I think about dating, there are a plethora of bars that are for alternative communities. I mean, swingers clubs, gay bars, definitely. I mean, there is that. And also just the communities that you're in. I mean, if I wanted to go ahead and swing around with the same sex or somebody that was in transition or whatever I want, I could go take a trip down to Wilton Manors or into some other clubs that are around that you just know. You'll see the flags. You'll see identity for it. And that's always been something that kind of helps as an identifier. So for the fact that they can't find out where they are going to go, well, you can find an LGBTQ flag on many different establishments to identify as friendly. And there's been many of those like that. I guess it doesn't happen everywhere, but it's very common down where I'm at least that's what I see. They also looked at people that use dating apps out of curiosity, boredom, or peer pressure, and that they would join the app simply because their friends did it or because everyone else was doing it. And others use dating apps as a way to move on from a breakup, boost their confidence, or pass time during a stressful period. A few even use dating apps for business purposes, such as meeting people in specific professions or finding clients. Now, I'm going to say that I do use dating apps, and I have not dating apps, but dating sites, because some of the sites I've gone to didn't necessarily have dating apps. But I know for me that if I wanted to go and meet people and I wasn't going to meet anybody nearby, there's a lot of varying factors about where I look at dating now, where I don't really look at dating, but how I use dating sites or dating apps. Because for me, I think at the end of the day, I still want to go and meet somebody in person. If I'm going to date, honestly, I want somebody in person I'm going to meet. But there are so many variables now that you have to worry about where, I mean, first of all, if you want to meet somebody, you got to be able to know it's the right moment in time to go and catch them, that they're going to talk. Like, how many times am I going out? First of all, I'm keeping myself kind of tuned out because I have headphones on, earbuds on all the time. If I'm out and I'm just working or I'm exercising, if I'm just getting my steps, I will always have my earbuds at any time, pop them in, and just go along and do what I got to do, whether it's shopping, whether it's working, which might include shopping, or it might be working out, or just doing something else. Because I'm just tuning myself out. I'm just enjoying the music. I'm in my vibe. I'm in my zone. And I don't see many times where if I have the opportunity to go ahead and, small talk somebody, it's just a small talk. Because I've been so detached from the idea of getting into dating in the first place. Because in my ongoing study, my research, which is what I've always offered up on this program, I'm always of the opinion where when I'm trying to understand myself better, try to be a better person, self-improve, my thing is of some of the people that I've met, some of the women that I've met on dating sites, and how I've been able to go and keep some kind of relationship with them where they still keep coming back and we talk. And look, in a perfect world, I would be enamored, flattered, thrilled beyond belief with some of the women I've gotten the chance to meet and would love to go and get together with and be with and date and who knows what else. It's been nice to meet some really sweet, beautiful girls online. Younger than I am, my age, whatever there is. That's cool. Because for whatever reason, online, I've had a better experience. Not always been great. It's the same thing like if you meet people in person, but it's just like as I've gotten older, it's the ability to talk about my voice and how I write that makes it much easier for me to go ahead and get in contact. Because forever, when I was on dating sites in my 20s and 30s, all I could do was text. And remember that too. There was always the constant barrier that kept happening with dating apps and dating sites more and more. More of a barrier, more of a wall that keeps you away from getting to meet somebody. The example when I went on, let's say, eHarmony or Love at AOL or Match even back in the day. You might talk with somebody for a while, and then maybe after a couple of weeks or a month or 3 months at the most, you would be trying to meet up. You would try to have that first date. But then that just became something that just didn't happen. I mean, how often do I hear things now about, and I thought, I might have been one of the first ones to do this, to get this kind of thing where I would talk with somebody for a year before I got to meet them. But I just heard a girl that I saw, she's a gorgeous model on TikTok. And she just said how she was talking with somebody online for a year, and then all of a sudden he ghosted her. I don't really know why. But, some things just happen where we are just enjoying the dating apps out of curiosity. And we just want to meet who we can meet. It's like that personal, just some emotional connection, an attachment to somebody. And the fact that we have to go and look for it online. But getting my point, in my 20s and 30s, you had to deal with the fact that, okay, if I wasn't on one of those chat sites, which was when we had the dating sites early on, we also had the call sites where you could just go on a phone chat and you call into a number and you would listen to different ads of different people. And then you would leave a message for them while they were on the line as well. And then if they would write you back, you would then try to make a connection. And with the time that you bought available, you would then go ahead and take time to go and talk to that person until, you only had so many minutes left. But then, if you had somebody you were talking to with the amount of call time that you had, then you would talk to them for what you could and make sure to get their number so you can contact them back later. But then we had the thing where with the dating sites, people just started getting more into the habit of texting. And then the texting, you might get a phone number and then you just start text on the phone number. But now that got turned away because of social media. Now we have, oh no, hit me up on my Snapchat, on my WhatsApp, my Instagram, my Facebook. And that's what we have now. Changed so much in time. But that's where we are right now. And more of a barrier. To the point where I still remember meeting a girl on one site. And it was over a year. And we were off and on talking. And I was just like, okay, when I felt like nothing was going on with this, then all of a sudden she might reach back out to me. And then it's like, all right, we're talking again. And then I finally met with her one night. And it was so awkward because, yeah, she was a pretty girl. Everything that I thought, from the exterior was good. But like, we had talked so much and I felt like I didn't know anything about her after a year. And I just felt like this wasn't worth it. And then I just went and said, I'm not going to worry about it. And it was things like that that just made me kind of just get completely lost in the idea of even dating on the apps anymore. Because it was just talk back and forth. And the thing was, now we're at the point where it used to be, well, I want to just be able to get the phone, get to meet up after a while of messages, then texts, then calls, then meet up. But then the calls went away. And then the texts on a phone went away. So now we're behind the website or a text or chatting platform on social media. That's what we've gotten to. I forgot Telegram. We should add that too into the mix, right? And that's what happens. And then remember, we also now have the sites where, like a Telegram or WhatsApp, you could just delete the chat if you want to. And you could disappear and ghost just like that. Same thing with Snapchat. It's like amazing. But it's like nobody wants to go and put any kind of permanent connection together. So that curiosity part is there. And so I just started playing into it. Because I didn't worry about, I'm going to meet this person someday. I would kind of say I would. Maybe I'll go ahead and, take a flight. But I never did. But, it didn't matter. Just after a while, I was just got tired of, it was just to talk. When it used to be that I used to talk about myself so much, and I will be the one initiating conversation all the time with a girl. When I'm on dating sites now, it's reversed. I am not the one trying to go ahead and keep the conversation going. I expect the female I'm talking to be the one that reaches out to me all the time. Because I decided to go and reverse the script. And the same thing goes when it comes to the conversations. It's not about me. It's about them. I'm getting to know them better because I want to understand the women and how they tick. And I want to analyze them. Because it's not about me at all. For me, I'm just older, maybe a little bit wiser. And I can offer some things, when it comes to understanding young women and women that are, a couple of years younger than me or whatever, regardless if they have kids, regardless if they have, a very big career or what. It's like, just to get to connect with a girl that, from all physical and personal traits that they have. Of course, everybody has their flaws. Of course, I have my flaws. But there's a lot to love about the woman that I'm talking to. There's an affection towards her. As much as there can be online when there's nothing else. but I'm also not getting into the fantasy of like, oh, what would it be like together and all. But the thing is that if I'm talking to any girl right now, it's that the ones that I'm going to be speaking with are ones that I find very attractive and vibrant, and they're fun, and they have pretty cool personalities, and they're submissive, and they're soft, and they're understanding, and they're patient. And they've had, some bad luck here and there. But I hope to go ahead and be, a different shade of light, a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day for them. Because it makes me feel like I'm getting something out of it. And I'm not giving out a whole lot from it either. So that's the whole idea. But yeah, for me, it's like, I want to do that part. Now, here's another part I also talk about here too. Dating apps for business purposes, meaning people in specific professions are finding clients. Well, I never did that on a dating site. I never thought that would actually work. But I will say that when I was out travel, for business, that you do use your flirtations, your charm, your personality. And I would say that in business connections that I had with women that I found very attractive and I would be talking to, that I thought, persuasively might be somebody to get to connect the network with, and I might be able to work with somewhere down the line, I would definitely do that. And there were a handful of girls that were like that, where I just got to meet with them in some kind of social networking kind of scheme. And we got together, we met, because he was always like at a conference, we might have a setting at like, a lounge or a bar, restaurant, things like that. And, or, some kind of event, party, get together, club, this and that. And I would go and talk to some of the girls that I want to go and talk to, and just like, okay, I'm going to just throw my charm out, and it was just kind of fun like that. But it was me meeting people that I would definitely go and connect with again on a business level, because it was worth doing that. Also, just to make a woman feel pumped up, feel good about herself, and in the whole space, because some of them were kind of young and they might be new into the space. So you take advantage of that. It was especially something I did in the tech space, because we would always have a lot of new people that would come into a new space, whether either it was a marketing or they were, work in the engineering side of things, and you get to meet a lot of new people. It was just nice to go and just connect and, let the pleasantries, the compliments, the good spirits all come around. And it was nothing more than platonic. That's all it was going to be. But I would never do it on a dating app or a dating site. Never thought about that. They also talk about facilitating short-term sexual encounters. Findings demonstrated that this is one of the main reasons why people use dating apps. People also use these platforms to find long-term romantic partners or platonic friendships. And a few studies also indicated that people use dating apps to learn more about themselves and their preferences, improve their self-esteem, practice skills such as flirting, and use the platform strategically, flexibly, with intent to meet a variety of needs. Exactly. But why am I doing that? And why are other people doing it as well? Because we don't believe dating apps actually help you meet people for love. Does that make sense? Let me say that one more time. When this researcher says that one of the many reasons why people use dating apps is to look for platonic friendships, or that they will use them to learn more about themselves and their preferences, improve their self-esteem, and practice skills such as flirting, and strategically, flexibly, with intent, meet a variety of needs. Bingo. I'm using it for self-improvement. I'm using it to show that I can bond and I can connect with a woman that I find very desirable. And while doing that, it makes me ready for when I can find somebody in real life. But I'm not going to find that person on that dating app, because the dating apps don't serve that purpose anymore. That's right, I said it. It's so obvious now. It's more true than ever. The researchers also found relatively few differences based on gender. When they looked at limitations in the existing literature, they still see where gender is treated as binary and often fails to include or differentiate between cisgender, transgender, and non-binary individuals. And I don't do that either, because if you notice on this program, I never talk about the genders as multiple, because at the end of the day, regardless of what pronoun you'd prefer, what gender you identify as, there's still a dominant and a submissive. It still comes down to that. And it somehow works that way. I was just thinking about the fact that I, work for Uber on the weekends and I'm part-time. And, I've been doing a lot of grocery orders. And it was a grocery order I had to go and pick up. And I saw it was a lesbian couple. So one person, shorter hair, definitely was the more dominant. And then it was another female, longer hair, a little bit more of a softer look, more of the femme. You could see that. Butch or feminine, dominant or submissive. It was definitely there. And I think that identifies with any kind of group, whether it's a gay couple or if it's whatever kind of couple you want. There's a dominant and a submissive. And I think that the research always can work if you go that route. If you want to try with gender, I think it's just more difficult. That's why the studies have not done gender identification of multiple genders, because it's very difficult and also hard to find the study partners, the participants, to be a part of that as well, I would imagine. They also noticed that there are gaps pointing to a larger issue in dating app research, that studies often focus on young heterosexual users and overlook older adults, gender diverse of individuals, and sexual minorities. Okay. We want to focus on younger users because one of the things is that for dating, they're going to be much more technologically savvy. And I think for me, I think the studying of how men and women are online dating today, it's one of those things where okay, you can identify with people that are meeting in person, but it's the issues of the toxicity of relationships, the trauma that can come out of a relationship if things go sour, and the choices that some of these younger people are making when it comes to dating without any wisdom whatsoever. They're just basically just going on instinct that they have, whatever they learned and whatever kind of family structure they had at home, to realize what kind of role models they should follow when they're trying to find a right partner. Very difficult. And then the study also raises questions about how dating apps themselves could evolve to better serve user groups, and that many people use apps for friendship, emotional support, or self-growth, not just for romance and sex. And that's one of the things that, of the women that I've gotten the chance to meet, they have reached out to me because I have been more for emotional support or for self-growth, because that's what it is. If they've had bad relationships or bad experiences, you want to meet with somebody older that's, not befringing them, not trying to go ahead and look for some kind of hidden agenda for sex. Because it's amazing. It's so true. When you meet somebody in person, if it's a girl that you're meeting in person, you're a guy, how many girls do you know that, always think, oh, this guy is looking to go ahead and, if he had a chance to go and hook up with me and take me to bed, he would. Because it's always about sex in the head. Well, the woman can go and think that all they want, but it's not that easy to go ahead and think the same way when you have a woman talking to you online and she's not in your same neighborhood. Might be in the country, might be a couple of states away, but that whole, oh, he just wants me to get laid, no, it doesn't work. Too much work behind that. Unless a woman is trying to get persuaded to go ahead and fly someplace and they're bought a ticket or whatever. Well, obviously that sexism is of course the factor. But what they took from all this says that they can offer important insights that can help researchers, clinicians, and dating app designers understand complex motivations behind online dating, which there should be dating sites that probably work for one thing or another. But it doesn't really matter about these dating app designers trying to figure out the right type of site, to figure out the right type of agenda or MO that somebody has. Okay. I would just prefer that dating apps don't worry about trying to be a gimmick. Just make yourself open, make yourself a dating site that anybody wants to go and be on, that has the best possible chance for people to go ahead and connect. You make it where people want to go there. Lots of people want to go there, get on there and be noticed. Let me tell you this as well. At the end of the day, so you might have the toxic sites that are your traditional sites like Hinge or Bumble or Tinder. But the thing is, like I said, the sugar daddy sites have worked out better because you see a lot more people in your neck of the woods within 10, 20, 50, 100 miles from you. Plus other people that are out there. There's a lot of choices. And that's what people want at the end of the day is choices. They also thought they want to examine how experiences such as dating fatigue, burnout, or algorithmic matching influences users' goals and satisfaction. Well, if you're smart enough not to go and worry about the algorithm and what it brings you, don't even worry about it. Because some of those sites, sugar daddy sites don't have that. They really don't even worry about that kind of thing. But these other sites, they have to kind of try every gimmick possible to try to get somebody to go and notice. It doesn't really work that way. It doesn't matter. Motives for engaging in online dating, a meta synthesis. So go ahead and look for that and find out more information about it because there's a lot of information out there to go and look at, and you can see if it looks like something that's pretty good or not. A couple of quick stories I want to bring up real quick before we wrap everything up. New York Post put out a story about biobaiting, the latest toxic dating trend now with singles. It's the practice of overselling yourself in a dating app bio to make yourself seem more interesting and appealing. So if they have somebody that you're looking on a dating app or a dating profile and you see someone that says, they do skiing, hiking, horseback riding, reading, and cooking, appear to be more cultured and well-rounded, it's not lying, but it's misleading potential partners. And that would lead to bad dates and disillusionment. They saw in the story here that a recent survey says that 63% admitted to feeling let down after meeting someone who didn't live up to their carefully polished dating app profile. And the point that they're trying to make here is that it's important not to idealize a dating profile and meet the person in real life as soon as possible to stop building a fantasy in your mind. But people don't do that. It's so common that people don't even bother to go and do that at all. A new toxic trend out there, biobaiting. Keep an eye on that. And finally, Huffington Post, I haven't followed them in a long time. They put out a story saying that men are sharing difficult parts of modern dating. And as a woman, I never thought of some of these. So here's some of the things they said that dating is tough. Took from Reddit, by the way, on some of these ports. So there are men online now that are asking about this on Reddit. The question is, what's been the hardest part of dating as a man? First person says the constant rejection, getting rejected 1,000 times, and you get more than a little gun shy. The worst is when they assume it must be a joke because you have to be joking if you think she might be interested. Another one saying, I've seen female friends cry for hours over the fact that one guy said no when they asked him out, and how awful it was, and how guys are never going to understand how they feel. Another says that I had a couple of first dates last month. All of them gave me their number. Some of them said that we should meet again. None have replied when I've asked about going out on a date somewhere offering dinner. It's been a month and some of my messages are still marked as unread on WhatsApp. Another person says that the absence of opportunity on dating apps. One person says that I've been out of the dating pool for a few years now. I still can't forget the number of messages my ex had in 2014. Likely had more messages in 2 months than I received in some 4 years of combined dating accounts. And frankly, she wasn't a 10 out of 10 or close to it either. Another person, I was lucky to get 5 mystery likes a week on Tinder. I could go a month without receiving any new replies, just on their swiping away for 4 weeks with zero return. And one more I'm going to take here. After a while, trying to get a damn date for Saturday night feels like going hat in hand asking for money. I mean, if a female friend approached me and asked me to set her up with her 5'11", 160-pound single guy who likes to bike and roller skate, has a slight British accent, studies physics, my reply will be, I can do that, but probably can only get 4 guys that match this description exactly. It's going to take me about 20 minutes. If I ask a female friend if she has any female friends who would be interested in a guy like me, he gets a quick reply of no. Wow. And there's a lot more like that. HuffPost, if you want to take a look at that as well. But there you go. The dating apps are not giving us good answers. We're not getting anywhere with it, which is why I've been kind of like, I use the dating apps, like I said, for curiosity, for helping others with self-growth, self-enhancement. Like I'm trying to make good connections here. But it would be nice to get back to the way it was where I didn't have to worry about dating apps. I could just go back out and, find a love motel and go find a girl to go hook up with that I just met that day and said, you know what? Let's go and meet up. You know, I got some time, middle of the afternoon. Let's go over to this place I know of. You know, I'll put down for a couple hours. We can get a little depraved and debaucherous.